What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Epic Thoughts. Before we get into it, here's the intro with no music. Great, that's wonderful. So ghetto. Oh my gosh, we can never do this right, Carla. I swear to God. Welcome to Epic Thoughts. I'm Rohmon. With me always today is Carla. Say what's up, Carla.
What's up?
We have a wonderful show for you today because it's not just me and Carla. We're going to change the screen so you can see how many people are on here today. There is half the cast of Superficially Deep right there. We are pumped. We are excited. Today is premiere day. All that hard work and all the stuff we've been doing has led to a day like today where we get to show all the work we've been doing on, and people have been seeing pictures and stuff like that on social media forever. And we finally get to see the hard work of our labor, which is Superficially Deep. It's been a long time coming, Carla, and it's finally here. So it's exciting to see.
Yes. So first and foremost, Rohmon, tell us, for the audience, for those that want to know, how long this show and this concept has been in your heart. And tell us a little bit about the history of Superficially Deep.
Superficially Deep has been, I don't know how long it's been since we did the play Superficially Deep, but the show is based off of the television show. The show is based off of a play that we did many years ago. Carly, you were actually on it, I think, an episode or two. And the concept was pretty much the same as the show is, a storyline featuring a lot of young people and just going through life. And it was just, when we did it as a stage play, imagine this. It was a television show on stage. We did it on stage, and we did a new episode every 2 weeks with the script and everything. It was crazy. And that ran for 2.5 years. We did pretty much a new episode every 2.5 weeks. And it was just, kids were driving from like LA to come, and we were out in Rancho. They were driving from LA just to see Superficially Deep. So it started like that, and it was just such an amazing concept because the stories were so unique and fresh. So we just kept up with that idea. And a couple years later, actually a few years later, maybe like 10 years later, it was like, you know what, some people came up and said, you know what, restart this project and use different people on it, and see what that would come up with. And so that's where Superficially Deep came from in a nutshell.
So this has been over maybe a 20-year concept that you had. It's at
least 15 years. Yeah.
Well, I've known you for a long time.
You've known me for a long time.
I don't want to say how old I am, but definitely I was at least 14, and I'm 34 now.
Yeah, you're old.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. So tell us a little bit about your creative process in bringing this 15 plus year idea from back into the maybe late 90s, early 2000s, and translating that into the year of 2019, 2020. What did you do different? Like, because the times were different than compared to now.
Okay, I understand the question. Oh. We recorded it. That was different, right? Is that what you're talking about?
No, your concept for the show.
Oh,
you did not listen to anything that I just said. Does the cast want to answer this?
Anybody want to take part in that?
How did you take a late 90s, early 2000s concept of what teenagers were like and translate that, evolving to now what teenagers are like in the year 2020, 2019? What tweaks did you make? You don't have an answer for that?
I don't have an answer for that. Honestly, we just try to do our best to stay relevant. I had some help. I did have some help. Like you see Delora and Eliza and Heidi. There were some people who really helped with like, hey, kids don't say that. People don't say that no more. So we did have those moments where it was like relevant. We added the element of, I think young people nowadays have a little bit more tougher journey than we were in the 90s, because we just had to worry about our community, as opposed to people today have to worry about the world. Like, imagine, like, we used to freak out because people in our neighborhood didn't like us. Imagine people across the world like us. So that was something I took really consideration in. And I took stories that were relevant for today. Like, and here's the thing. I think the stories are the same, but I think the way it plays out is different. For example, suicide used to be a quiet thing, but now it's not. It's a thing that everyone deals with. It's loud. Sexual harassment was a little thing, but now it's loud. So we just took all everything that I kind of dealt with and made it 100, added 100% to it, made it louder.
Cool. Okay. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, before we weren't texting. Now that's all you do is text. Like, just little things like that. It's so different. Are teenagers, do you think, the same as they were then than they are now, conceptually at their core?
I think conceptually at their core, they just have more access. And anybody else on the show can chime in too. It doesn't have to be just me. But I think conceptually, yeah, they're the same. But I think they have more access to stuff. Information comes at them faster. And on top of that, it comes, information's at their fingertips, where it wasn't for that. We could actually be, it can be anything for us. Yeah. That's a hard question, dang it. Carla.
You should have known I was going to come with it, bro.
All right, come with them, though.
Okay, I'm about to transition. I'm going to give you a break. Okay. So I would like to give myself a little mention here, because I definitely was a part of the process in casting most of you, not all of you. And so I wanted to ask the cast, what was your experience like auditioning for Superficially Deep? We're going to start with Heidi.
Hello. Okay. So I hope y'all are doing great. So my experience auditioning for Superficially Deep, I think this was my first TV audition, because before that I was doing stage, film, and commercials, and so this is a bit different. But coming in, I mean, it's always nerve-wracking and intimidating when you walk into an audition room and then you see three people just making eye contact with you, and so that never changes. But I think it was different because of the type of auditioning that I did. I think it was the normal, okay, read the monologue, okay, read it a different way. But I think it was different with because I think I had to read it with Rohmon. I think that was one scene, and then the next time I read it, I think I read it with you, Carla, or was it Stephanie? And so that was a bit challenging for me. But again, every audition is challenging, but I had fun with it. I think it was a new experience, and now I've gained TV experience, and I can put that under my belt.
Boom. Awesome. Thanks, Heidi. Now, I want to ask Charlie a question.
What's up?
Because I felt like when you walked into that audition, you knew exactly who you were auditioning for. And you came there, it was like obviously you should always be prepared for an audition, but like you came there prepared. What was your process in preparing for Dean? And you can touch a little bit about your character so they can understand the context and understand your preparation for your audition for Dean.
Yeah, totally. So it's funny you say that, because the monologue that I chose for my audition was from a play called This Is Our Youth. And I had actually just wrapped that play. So I don't know if you knew that, but that's why I was so comfortable with the monologue that I chose. And I heard about the audition and stuff on Backstage. So when I saw the character for Dean, at the time, thinking back on it now, I don't really remember it too much. But at the time, I probably thought, okay, this monologue that I'm going to do pertains to this character pretty well, so I'm going to do it. So when I got to the audition, which was a party, by the way, it was awesome. Rohmon was there, Carla was there, and I think there was one other person there. I don't remember who it was, but there was 3 people at the table, and everybody, you guys made me feel so welcome. I just remember feeling so welcome when I was at that audition. So all my nerves kind of went away immediately. Plus, I was pretty comfortable with the monologue that I prepared because of the fact that I just wrapped the show. So I knew right away that I was going to go pretty well. And then it did. And then Rohmon was like, all right, I want you to go in the lobby and I want you to read these lines for Dean and come back here in like 5 minutes and show us what you got. And I did that. It was a fun time. And then the fun part was about a couple weeks later was the callback. I was in Cabo San Lucas and I was like so sunburned. And I get this text or this call from Rohmon, who I didn't really know. I mean, now we're friends, but I didn't really know him too well at the time. And he was like, I want you to come down and do a callback, but, you know, video it and send it in. So I was like, oh man, like I have to do it by tomorrow. I'm like, I'm so tan right now. Like it was like the next day I was so tan. And if you watch the video, it's actually really funny. It looks like I literally got like a spray tan or something, but I swear it was all natural. Rohmon, I don't know if you remember seeing it, but you know what? I guess it worked out. It worked in my favor because I ended up getting a call like a week later, said I got the part of Dean, and it was a great part, a great role, so much fun. And I mean, when you see the show tonight, to everybody watching, you're gonna see why it's such a fun role to play. And yeah, so it was a great experience, great process, and a great time.
Awesome. Thanks, Charlie. And you know what?
Yeah.
I mean, I ultimately, you know, me and Stephanie, that's the third person that was there. You know, we were there as a support for Rohmon, but I mean, as soon as you left, I was like, that's your Dean right there. That is your Dean. No need for callbacks, but you know, you have to go through the process. So I get that, but you are totally perfect for the part. And I've seen a little bit of the episode and it is awesome. And I've been on set too with you guys for a little bit. I had a part, but Rohmon cut me out. I guess I was too old. I don't know. I was supposed to be like a 12-year-old. I don't look like a 12-year-old, so I understand. Anywho, so my next question is going to be for Delora, who plays Janice. Delora, please grace us with your thoughts on what attracted you to Janice. And I believe I remember this is who you originally auditioned for, but was there any other character that you were interested in when you auditioned?
Yeah, hi. First of all, it was not who I auditioned for.
That's I was trying to remember.
Yeah, I actually auditioned for Piper, and she's a little sister character, and I walked in and I did the audition, and then Carla looked at me and said, "You're not a little sister." And I said, "Okay." Yes, that's what you told me. You said, "You're not a little sister. Your personality, you're not a little sister." And I said, "No, I'm actually the oldest sister." And you said, "Yeah, I know. So go outside and try this audition." And I said, okay. So you gave me the new sides for Erica, which is Heidi's character. And I came back in and it still wasn't a good fit. And so you sent me back out and you brought me back in with a new character and it still wasn't the right fit. And then you sent me back out. You said, I'm going to try one more thing. I came back in with the sides for Janice. And you and Rohmon were there, so you both sat there and you looked at each other when I was done with the audition. And Carla looked at Ro and said, do you have any notes or anything that you want to give her? And he said, nope, that's exactly how I saw Janice. And Carla looked at me and said, that's exactly how I saw Janice. And I said, okay. And I had no idea who Janice was or what her backstory was. And so I was very intrigued, but really excited. So then as I started diving deeper into the role and into who Janice was and her backstory, I just really fell in love with who she is and who she's going to become, and the things that she's going to are very real and very much of a role that you can identify with. A lot of, I think, teenagers are going to be able to identify with who Janice is and what she's going through in her family and her personal life, trying to make friends and everything. So I'm really excited to kind of help develop her and see what happens to her.
Yay! And I'm really sorry. Like, my kids are anyhow.
No,
Delora, I did not know you remembered that so vividly. That's amazing. Like, that is 2 years ago, but I guess you always remember things like that. And you know, getting to know you over these last 2 years, yeah, your personality, everything like that. Janice, perfect, great role for you.
Thanks.
So my next question is going to be for Christian, who plays Travis. Now, we've never met, but go ahead and give us a little insight on in your audition process and how you came about to play Travis. Did you give us a little bit of the backstory?
Yeah, definitely. So that was interesting as well. It was about a year ago that I auditioned for a different role, and then a couple months into the process, I'd shot some scenes as this other role, and then a couple months in, the guy who played Travis dropped out or something, and they say, "Hey, do you want a different role?" And I said, "That sounds good." So then I just moved over to the Travis role. And
oh, did we lose them? Did we lose Christian Rowe?
Oh, am I here now? Where was I? It was great. I like playing the role of Travis. That's what I was ending.
Yeah. Sorry, I think it cut out. I don't know if we lost your sound there. So, do you like playing Travis? Was it a pleasant surprise? Were you like, oh my gosh, this is exciting? Like, what were your thoughts about getting recasted into basically a main character?
Yeah, definitely those. Very pleasant surprise. I really, I mean, it was definitely a lot more to engage with, a lot more to sink my teeth into. I really.
Oh man, I think we lost Christian a little bit.
Oh, he's back.
Okay.
Sorry, Christian.
Cool.
Keep going.
Yeah, so Travis being a bit more of like the outsider, the dark horse kind of character, the guy who's like, I don't trust the system, and that system being like big church and stuff like that, and authority in general. And I thought that was fun to get into, and you know, on a deeper level, he really has these. So it was fun to play that kind of rebel character, but also to really get under the surface of like, what are, you know, he's not just a character, he's not just a caricature. He's got real reasons for why he believes what he believes, and why he does what he does, and why he stands on the outside, and why he judges from the outside and looks in and says that, you know, things aren't right. This isn't the way things should be, and things should be better than they are. So, I really loved discovering that about him.
Awesome. Well, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, question for the cast. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being least likely, 10 being very likely, how much of a stretch was it playing your character? We're going to go with Delora. From your original personality.
Janice is very bold, very strong, and very independent. So that wasn't a far stretch for me. She does have a little bit of a darker side, and you probably wouldn't know, knowing who I am now as a person. But in high school, I did have a lot of similarities as Janice in a darker past, darker things that I struggled with, and so on, which you'll find out in the show. So it wasn't so much of a stretch, more like I had to go backwards and dive back into my past. But that's been fun too, to see my growth as a person, and to be able to kind of throw that into Janice as well, that she will grow out of a lot of things and she will grow through a lot of things. So it's pretty close, I'd say.
Very cool. What about you, Heidi?
Yes. Okay. So I don't think Erica is a far stretch. So I played Erica Novakowski, and she's not really a stretch from my personality, just because. Well, okay. So Erica's the goody two shoes, like the straight A student, like the best daughter, pressure of being the perfect daughter, and I think we're similar in that because I do have two sisters as well as Erica. I did get straight A's in high school. I am sort of like the goody two shoes, I guess you could say, but at the same time, she is very hard-headed, so she will always choose her head. She will always follow her head before she follows her heart, and I think her and I are in that same boat, and I think we're both in the same phase of like figuring out who we both are. I mean, yeah, we go to high school and we figure out, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. But I think Erica's very mature for her age, and she's on her path to finding something that's greater than just school and friends and whatnot. And I think I relate to her in that sense.
Awesome. A little bit about you that I didn't know. I didn't know you were a straight A student. I'm just kidding. I mean, it's not that
yeah, straight A. And I played soccer as well, so that was like a good plus.
Yes, I love it. What about you, Christian? I know you touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, as far as it being a stretch, I mean, like on the surface, it's quite a stretch, to be honest. I was like the super involved in youth group kind of church guy. I was like, I want to head up the student leadership team and like lead worship and stuff like that, which is like totally not what Travis is. But like at the same time, like I'm like super involved and like have a positive attitude towards those kinds of activities. But like I definitely have a critical eye as well. So I just imagine I was like, oh, what if I just let my critical self have full control over my personality? I'm like, then that would result in Travis, basically, you know? And I would be kind of removed and cynical and stuff like that.
Love it. So you were involved in youth group. Okay. So you probably knew a Travis then.
Yeah.
Okay.
My brother. Yeah.
He's like, hey, bro, how do you, this is you. I didn't know they were writing about you.
Bites us all so much, you know? Tell me how that works. Yeah.
All right. And what about you, Charlie?
Dean and I are very alike. Let me just say that. You know, I wouldn't say we're 100%. If I had to do the 1 to 10 scale thing, I would say as far of a stretch away from my character, I'd say maybe about a 3, because you know, he's always finding himself in like funny situations, and I am always finding myself in all kinds of situations. And the cool thing about Dean that I think I relate to is you know, they're gonna watch this show and you're gonna be like, Dean's the clown, Dean's the class clown. He's kind of a joke sometimes, but he's always trying his best, man. Dean is always doing his best to do whatever he can for his friends, even if it gets him into some lousy situation. And I could definitely relate to that. I mean, sometimes, you know, and I think we all can in one way or another. Sometimes we try to do things really, really hard to please other people or to make people happy. And then sometimes it doesn't end up working the way that we always think it does. And that definitely happens to Dean, and it has definitely happened to me from time to time. But I would say that probably the biggest difference between Dean and I is that he thinks he's really cool and I am really cool.
I agree. You are really cool.
Wow.
I wasn't expecting that answer.
I wasn't either.
And I think that last comment is what makes me the most like,
100%. Yeah.
Very deep.
For sure.
Very deep.
Oh, that was awesome.
Now, this question's for you, Rohmon. Are you listening? Are you ready?
No, I'm
Question.
not ready at all. I'm not ready at all. But okay.
What, or let me see, I'm going to phrase this. How important is it right now to have a show like Superficially Deep a part of the entertainment world? How important is it, especially in the climate we're in? Give us a little bit of your thoughts.
Wow, that's a good question, Carla. I think the biggest part to really kind of focus on with a show, why is it important, is because I think people need to see another perspective of stuff. I just think that everything is so the same. Everything's saying the same thing. Every show looks the same. I think it's important that we show another perspective. I think it's important that we show people whose lives are not centered around drugs and being gangsters and stuff like that. I think it's important to see certain family models that are current that we see today. I think it's important to. I honestly miss the shows that were kind of like didn't want me to kill myself after I watched it, or there's some shows that I will be addicted to that I can't stop watching that have like a negative content a spectrum to it. But I just feel like a show like Heritage Park needs to show it brings balance to what is already out there. So that's why I think a show like Superficially Deep is. And the other thing I think is important is what we're trying to do is trying to share the gospel without being preachy, without being superstitious and super religious. And I wanted to make characters that are real life characters. Like Superficially Deep, every character is based off of a real life character. These are real people with real situations. And I think that's important that people need to know, because I'm personally, I get mad when people see faith-based content that's just super preachy. Like the girls walk around the school with a Jesus shirt throwing the Bible at people's face. And then they make fun of us at the, in other projects. So I just wanted to make something that was life-giving, that you could watch with your family and maybe have a conversation with afterwards, that's not necessarily preachy. And I also wanted to talk about church in a unique way, because there's a couple episodes where they're actually in church having conversations. So I made it very strategic. Everything on this show is very strategic. Like one person said, well, will they talk about Jesus a lot? And I'm like, some characters will, because teenagers independently, not a lot of them talk about Jesus. They talk about what the characters on the show talk about. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's the way I'm going to answer the question.
No, it's a great answer. I mean, even in this conversation, I'm thinking about the person I was in youth group. You were my youth group leader.
Crazy.
For a couple of things, for praise and worship and drama. So I'm just thinking about what we used to talk about. And we used to talk about a little bit of everything, and we had a very diverse group of people that were a part of our inner church clique.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a clique. I mean, we're just gonna call it what it is. Okay, we were a clique.
We were a clique.
What do they call us? The third row? What was it?
Yeah, third row crew.
Yeah. Anywho, so a question we have from our viewers is for my fellow actors here. What advice would you give somebody that is inspiring to be an actor? And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start it off with Charlie.
I would say that being an actor is really interesting, because in a day like today, there's so many opportunities for you to be an actor, and this show is a great example of it. There are so many. If you sign up for Backstage or Actors Access or even a Facebook group, like auditions in your area, I promise you are going to find something that you can act in. There's so many different opportunities, and there's a big difference between being an actor and wanting to be famous, I think if you try really hard to be famous, you're going to miss out on all the great opportunities you could have just acting and using your gift. You know, if you're really passionate about acting, there's literally endless amounts of opportunities and that are out there. I mean, there is a role for you to play. I guarantee it. You just have to search and search and search, and pretty soon you'll get an audition. And it might be for a student film at, you know, Cal State Fullerton, or it might be for a play at, you know, your local community theater. But there's always a project. I've learned one thing from pursuing an acting career the last few years, and that is there's always a project that needs an actor, and they are waiting for you. So, if I were to give advice to any new and upcoming actors, I would say just search out any opportunity and go for it, because I promise you, you're gonna be able to act. You're gonna get something. So do it.
Love it. Love it.
That's really good, Charlie. That was excellent, actually. Yeah.
Chase your dream and don't stop is what Charlie is saying. What about you, Heidi?
So I would first say, okay, do some soul searching first, because acting is it's not an easy thing. I think a lot of people think, oh, I can be an actor. Yeah, okay, can you also be a doctor then? Can you also be an attorney? And it's like the same hard work it takes to become a doctor is the same as an actor. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. I mean, you have to kind of figure out, okay, do you want to be an actor because of the craft, or do you want to be an actor because of the fame? And that's where soul searching comes into play. And then you figure out what you want from this career. And then with that, okay, all right, what's my first step? Okay, headshots. Okay. What's my type? Meaning like the way I did it is I went to my local mall and I asked these random people, okay, what do you see me? What is my type? Like when you first see me, what would you cast me as? And you just get like you just write this down, and then after that, you know, you gear your headshots towards that specific type. And then after headshots, you submit to, you have LA casting, backstage, actors access. And through that, you know, slowly start building your resume, but consistently working on your craft, because it's not just like, oh, once you get a role, okay, I'm good, I'm done. No, it's constantly improving and going to acting classes, going to auditions, taking acting classes, and then with that, you know, you become an actor. And I agree with Charlie. There is a role for you. I mean, actors play real life people, you know. It's not like some fantasy. It's like everyday people, and that's what they're looking for. And yeah, it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of no's, but, you know, they just lead to your yes.
All it takes is one yes.
Exactly.
Yes. What about you, Christian?
Advice to people who want to become an actor, I would say it's kind of, I've been thinking as I've had time to think, as people before me, but it's kind of more of an abstract thing. But I would say, given the nature of acting as it is to some degree self-focused, have an aim for your life outside of yourself. Have a specific goal of like who you are as a person, who you are as an artist. Otherwise, you can kind of, I mean, you can look around to examples in pop culture of people who have maybe drifted a bit and into areas where you would say, don't want to drift that far. But yeah, have an aim of specifically like what kind of stories you want to tell, what kind of impact you want to have on the world, what kind of characters you want to portray, and really try as soon as possible to start getting specific about those things, and really pursuing those kinds of things. Because you want to look back, if you're going to be an actor, you want to look back on your acting career and say, like, I'm really proud of the characters I put into the world, of the stories I told. And I think that includes being a playwright and being a director as well. I really, really do encourage like or screenwriter, you know, do a lot of different things. Do improv. Do a lot of different things so you can have lots of opportunities to put yourself out into the world and say the kind of things you want to say and tell the kind of stories you want to tell and make an impact on the world that you're proud of.
That's awesome. Being intentional, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like that. What about you, Delora?
I would say first and foremost, your training. I think your training is so important, especially just that you're constantly doing it. And kind of like what Heidi said, you know, it takes a lot of work to be a doctor, and they're not just sitting around, you know, hoping that one day that they'll be able to perform a surgery. They're doing the work. They're taking the classes. They're reading the books. And it's so easy right now in this quarantine. So many people are offering things online. You don't even have to leave your house. You can literally sit in front of the computer and watch all day, or order books on Amazon, or just constantly be perfecting your craft. And I think that is so important because you land one role and you think that you have it for the rest of time, and you don't. You have to keep working on it. And so I think that would be my advice, like I said, especially now during quarantine. There's so many opportunities, and working on self-tapes, and even doing auditions are practicing and perfecting. And you're not going to nail every audition, but it is practice. It is practice of, you know, oh, you got nervous doing this type. Maybe I need to work on this more. I fumbled on these words. Maybe I need to practice a little bit more or study more beforehand, and things like that. So I think that would be just keep training, just keep learning, because the moment that you feel that you know everything is the moment you start to go downhill. So you just keep working on it.
Be teachable. I like it.
Everything, yeah.
So, Rohmon, I'm going to ask you a question, because you are also an actor.
Sometimes.
But from a director standpoint, what do you look for in that person that's pursuing the craft? You know, what do you look for in an actor? Maybe they want to come audition for Superficially Deep, you know, season 45. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
Like, you know, Days of Our Lives. No. But you know, what is it as a director, as a creator, as an actor yourself? What do you look for?
I think to follow suit to kind of what Heidi said, there is a look that I look for, which is why Carla, you're there, because you help me kind of work that out too. Sometimes I'm pretty stubborn. I was like, no, this person has to look like this, and then you're like, no, well, you know, stuff like that. I do look to see who's teachable. I definitely look at that. I look at who is I'm just thinking of bad auditions. I'm thinking of somebody who's teachable. I'm looking for somebody who is I see you laughing, Carla, because I see some bad ones. Someone who could take instructions, that's really important. Like if you could take instructions, that's really good. Sometimes sometimes during auditions, I give a note to see if they take a note. You know, there's not nothing to say that was wrong with the first read. I just want to see how well they can adjust and make a change. And also I'm looking for people who are not, we've had a couple of people when we worked on Superficially Deep, we've had a couple of people come in and tell us at audition, I'm here to be a star. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and they were like, I'm the next. One guy came in and said, I'm the next best star. I'm the next. And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And we actually casted him, and he didn't show up twice. So,
you know what though? You have to cast that type of confidence.
I did. I was like, confident, and okay, we'll cast him. And he never showed up for anything. Actually, I take it back. He showed up for one thing, and then it was a funny story. I ended up having to take him home because he didn't have no ride. So
I hate it.
I had to take him home, and we never heard from him again. Like, and then he sent me some message that he got robbed, and that's why he didn't come to the first shoot. And so we're like, "Oh, you got robbed? Sorry, bro." And he goes, "Can you make the next shoot?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll definitely be there," and didn't show up again. So then, you know, there's people who just say there's people who are about that life, and there's people who does not about that life. Yeah, it was a weird scenario. I mean, we've had some weirdos. I'm not gonna lie. We, you know, in the several years. Laura's laughing because she's experienced it too. We've had some interesting people come on this set or come to audition, I should say. And so I agree with Charlie, though. There's so much out there to get involved in. There's so much. And I feel like if you really want to be an actor, the first thing you need to do is just act. You just need to get in something, you know? You may not kill it your first time. You may not, you know, you may be the fit. You may be the look that someone is looking for. And you may not do the best job acting-wise, but that's where you'll start, you know? You'll be like, oh, I could do this better. Oh, I feel like I can do, you know, I could be a better actor in this area, or maybe I need to tap into different emotions and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for is people who are just open to work and want to do the best that they can.
Okay, I like it. Now, in regards to this first episode, Rohmon, what is it that you are? Give us a little insight to this first episode, just a little teaser for all of our people out there that are anticipating the premiere of Superficially Deep episode 1.
Superficially Deep episode 1 is basically we're gonna see every character they're gonna show their hand. Every character kind of basically you get to know what every character is, and you get to see stories start to develop. We like to leave with a little intrigue, so there's a little bit of an intrigue at the end of the first episode, but for the most part, you get to see who they are, what they're all about, where their minds are at, and you get. And one thing I really like about the show, I feel like even if it's not the main 10, because there's 10 main characters, right now we've shot 6 episodes with 36 different people, so we've had 36 actors on the show, and I feel like no matter who you are or where you are, you're going to connect to somebody on this show. Because the characters are so, I think, I'm not bragging on myself. That's why I don't really want to talk about me too much, but we did a really good job honing in on like these characters, and these characters are really, really good. And the actors did a lot of it too. It's not just me, but the actors did a lot of development into these characters where I feel like you're going to connect to somebody. And so that's one of the most powerful things about storytelling is that you can connect to the characters and you can understand their plights and why they make the decisions. I hate watching films and shows where I'm like, well, why did they do that decision? That don't make sense, you know, just to move the plot along. That Superficially Deep's not going to be that. It's going to be, yep, I get that decision. I understand why she's mad. I understand why they did that. So
listen,
yeah.
Delora and who's helping you write, Rohmon? For the
everyone has a little piece of Delora and Heidi both have a little piece of it.
Okay, can you guys write me in? Like seriously. Like
you want to play a 16-year-old?
No, I want to play an adult.
Okay.
You know, I don't care at this point.
All right.
I just need y'all to write me in. Okay? Good Lord.
All
Got
right.
it.
You got it.
Next season.
Come on.
Season 42.
That was really important for me to say on this show. I just needed to get it out there because then I was going to forget.
Awesome.
So I want to ask you guys, how was it? Okay, did you direct this first episode, Rohmon? Yes?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did.
What was it like working with Rohmon as a director? Because I've worked with Rohmon.
This is where I mute.
If I don't like your answer, I will mute you. Let you know. I do control mute on this end too. So if Charlie starts saying all whack, I will mute him.
We're gonna start with Christian. Okay, we're gonna start with Christian on this. Christian, I want to tell you, you can be as honest and candid as you want. Nobody's gonna hold it against you, not even Rohmon. I promise.
Yeah, I won't.
Okay. Well, sounds like you're expecting me to just give him an act here.
I'm joking.
Unrelentlessly. But no, I mean I thoroughly enjoy working with Rohmon. There.
Yes,
I said it. Yeah, he's great. He's got a great energy. He brings himself like authentically to the room and to the set. He's like, "What's up, guys? I'm feeling like poop right now," or if he's like, "I brought food right now," and I'm like, "Heck yeah!" And I just appreciate like his honesty, and he's just right there with you. He doesn't like put on a front or something. I've worked with a director before who turned out to later be like a really good friend of mine, but like I met him as a director, and he put on this front of like business suit and like he was all about like, and he was none of that. He was like a broke college student like me, but he like dressed up like he was some executive and stuff, and I was like, "What the heck are you, man?" But like it's really fun hanging out with Rohmon on set, and I love his energy and his ideas.
Yeah.
Mr. Christian.
I'm not gonna tell you guys the conversations that me and Rohmon had in private, but
Wait, what does that mean?
I'm gonna tell you. He
Oh.
was probably very, very nervous about, just really wanting you guys to feel comfortable, feeling like a family, because that's just Rohmon, And I'm like, man, they're going to love you. They're going to love the project. The project is awesome, which it totally is. And I think the cool thing, Rohmon just doesn't take himself seriously. That's the cool thing about working with Bro. He does, but he doesn't. He does, but he doesn't. What about you, Charlie?
I think that Rohmon is definitely one of like the chillest directors that I've ever worked with, and I like that he allows his actors to really feel out the scene before they go out and actually like do it. Like he allows them the freedom to do kind of what they want to do a few times, and then he comes in and says, kind of tweaks it a little bit and works with you to kind of make the perfect scene. And he's just an overall chill guy and a great director, and he's fun to be around. Rohmon is great. Your writing skills are amazing. I mean, the way that you developed the story was really cool. I mean, when I read the script and stuff, it's like I just can't wait to get to the next page. So I think you've done a great job developing the story. I think you've done a great job directing it. And I've really enjoyed working with you, man.
Yes.
I look forward to working with you more.
Wow. That's awesome.
What about you, Miss Heidi? And I know you wear more than one hat, but just from a director standpoint, tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, okay. So I do have to say, I think Rohmon is definitely the most laid back director. And that's not a bad thing because, I mean, I've worked with directors where you can't even mess up a line and you can't even add a word into your line. And then you have directors like Rohmon that allow you and give you the freedom to literally like express yourself and play around with your character. And just like what Charlie said, like beforehand, we'll rehearse a couple times. And that's Rohmon's way of observing us and saying, okay, these are the choices that the actors are giving me. Okay, let me see if I like them. And so Rohmon is okay, and he gives me that free space to play around with my character, and I appreciate that because as an actor, I kind of need that. And at the same time, like if he doesn't like it, he'll tell you, nope, let's cut that out. And he's not rude about it because there are some directors that are like, no, like that does not work. But Rohmon is laid back and he's like, no, like let's try a different approach. Let's try another choice. And so I appreciate that. And as an actor, I appreciate when a director knows exactly what they want. When they know what they want the day they get to set. Like I hate it when a director gets to set and he's like, or she's like, you know what? Let's just try it. I don't like that. I like when the director says, okay, this is what we're going to do, boom, 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 but still allows for that freedom of creativity and expression. And that's the exact balance and exact combo that I like in a director, and that's Rohmon.
Yes, I like it. And Miss Delora, you also wear many, many hats. So from a director standpoint, tell us, what was it like working with Rohmon for this very first episode?
Well, we ended up having to shoot that first episode a couple different times through the years. And so it's been cool to see Roman's progression through that as director. I think when we first started, he was still very iffy, still very unsure of himself and how he wanted things to look and how he wanted things to go or how they were going to go. And it's been really fun and exciting to see like his growth through that, because I think he's grown tremendously in the last couple of years, just with his vision for everything and with his execution. And kind of like Heidi said, the one thing that I really like about Roman is that he's teachable and coachable, and just kind of going off of that aspect of it, it's been really cool to experience, because it's not even about what we can learn from him, but it's also about what he's willing to learn from us. And so that just shows such growth in itself as well, because that takes a lot to be willing to learn from the people who are working for you, so to speak. So it's been fun. I think that he's a great director. I think he knows what he wants, and he has a good idea on how to get that done. He just needs a team behind him to execute, and that's what we're here for.
Awesome. Thank you, Delora.
Sure.
So, Rohmon.
That was great answers, guys.
Look at him blushing.
That was great answers. If I could turn colors, I would.
What'd you say?
I said if I could turn colors, I probably would turn colors right now. I would blush if I had the capacity to blush. Underneath this black skin, just know it's blushing.
Rohmon, so tell us, what was your favorite scene that you filmed for season 1? Or for the first episode, however you want to answer it.
Like Delora said, season 1, we shot so many times. I don't have a favorite scene from episode 1 because we shot it so many times. There are a couple scenes that I watch over and over again because it's just so perfect. One is not completed yet because we had to do a reshoot. We had to do a reshoot pretty soon. But it involves a character by the name of Booby, and it's just the scene where he introduces himself. It's just classically hilarious. I mean, that whole episode was pretty good. Off the top of my head, there every scene where Dean, Charlie plays Dean, every scene between him and Miranda is just classic. I could just watch that for hours because it's just the way they go at each other is dead on perfect, and the energy they give to each other is hilarious. And I will say that I have a friend who's looked at some of the scenes, and they laugh over and over and over again, no matter how many times they see it. It's at the end of episode 2. There's a scene between Jazzy and Dean that she just laughs every time, and like we've watched it over and over again. Like I'll play it back and we'll watch it again. And then there's some dramatic scenes that are really good. I mean, it's really good when you start looking at certain scenes and you're like, man, I want to watch it again. And I play it again and watch it over again. So there's a handful of them that are pretty shocking. Shocking on the side of, wow, that turned out really, really good. And so episode 1, not too many because we've shot it over and over again with so many different people. But yeah, moving forward, yeah, the other episodes were really good. I'm excited actually when we started looking at episode 3 and 4, how good things turn out. You get to see the story kind of develop a little bit more. So it's really awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So in closing, guys, what I want to ask each and every one of you is, what stamp or what impression do you want to leave with the audience as it relates to your character, as it relates to the show? Tell the audience what you are hoping they gain from your work here on this show. And I hope that made sense, but we're going to go ahead and start with Heidi.
Yeah. So the impression that I want to leave is simply that my character and the show are raw, meaning there's no filters, there's no editing, like there's no like masks, like it's all raw and genuine. And my character is relatable to, I mean, a lot of girls, but I think even some guys as well, you know, being the or having this pressure of being the perfect kid and the perfect son and having the perfect life. I think that's a concept that a lot of high school students deal with because they feel like they have to perform in front of their friends. But I think Erica is very like, nope, you know, this is me, take it or leave it, sort of a thing. And which is why she's very independent. And her best friend Jazzy, you know, they're so close because both of them won't take crap from others. And anyone that is watching, you know, my goal as an actor is always to inspire anyone, the audience, and hopefully have them relate to whatever my character is going through, and hoping that, you know, they are able to get whatever they need to, or do whatever they need to do, and move on with life. But yeah, I think that's it. Just it's raw and it's relatable.
Thank you, Heidi. What about you, Charlie?
I think that the main thing that people are going to get from Dean is that in life you're going to get into some many messy situations, but there is always a way out. And I think watching Dean this season, it's going to be very evident of that. And I also think that it's important, like, you know, as we're watching the character and as we're watching the show, I hope people kind of get the understanding that, you know, it's cool to focus on your friends, and it's cool to try to be nice to everybody and do what everybody wants you to do and stuff. But you always got to focus on yourself first. And I think, you know, that's a big thing that Dean needs to learn, and maybe is in the process of learning throughout the season, that it's not always about doing the right thing for everybody else or trying to do something for everybody else, but doing something for yourself and focusing on yourself so that, you know, you get your life together before you try to fix somebody else's life. Because if you don't do that, everything's just going to end up being a big mess. So I think that's a big a message to look out for when you're watching the character on the show. And just from Superficially Deep in general, I just think that it's a great show, it's a great message. And I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to it, especially if you grew up in a church environment. It's going to be something for you. So hope you enjoy it.
Yes. And Rohmon, do we have time for Christian and Delora to answer the question, or do we need to wrap it up?
We actually need to wrap it up because it's starting in the next 1 minute.
Okay. Well, I'm so sorry, Delora and Christian, but maybe you can do a little video for us and we can put it on our social media. But I wanted to thank you guys so much for watching. Please tune in to Facebook and Facebook Heritage Park and YouTube Heritage Park to watch the premiere of Superficially Deep episode 1. And are they going to premiere every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday night at 8 a.m. 8 p.m. 8 p.m.
Yeah. 8 p.m.
On Tuesday nights. Tuesday nights for sure will be on the Facebook channel, but it might be on our Roku. Roku is having some technical difficulties right now, which is why it didn't premiere tonight on Roku.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. Love you all, and hopefully we'll see you soon, and have a great, great night.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Bye.